Welcome to the Ditch the Struggle podcast. I'm your host, Alana Rosso. I'm a graphic designer turned career and success coach who knew I could do better, but kept falling short of where I wanted to go. But after years of exploring personal and career development, business, money mindset, and energy work, I'm here to tell you that yes, you can move from stuck and defeated to empowered and confident. Ready to dive in? Awesome. Together, let's ditch the struggle. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. We have a conversation today, and our guest shares a story that you could say is deeply embarrassing, difficult, challenging. And what she did was make it the catalyst for a huge empire, a super successful business. And I find her story inspiring and it's educational. And we have to have these kind of conversations. So Sara Jonsdottir is the visionary founder and CEO of Revol, a company revolutionizing menstrual care with medically recognized toxin-free leak-proof underwear. Driven to highlight the gaps in women's health and sustainability, Sara has made waves in the market, raising the bar in safety and efficacy. Through her innovative human-centered designs and fueled by her passion to challenge harmful stigmas in period care, she is committed to creating products that empower women and menstruators everywhere. Let's dive into the conversation. Hi, welcome, Sara. I am thrilled to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Yes. Okay, so why don't you just tell our audience who you are?
Okay, so I'm Sara Jonsdottir, and I am the CEO and founder of Revol. And I'm also a mom and many, many more things, but I'm really excited to share my story today.
Yes, you are an incredible entrepreneur from, obviously, I'm watching on the sidelines. I've known about your company, Revol for quite a while now. And your stepsister, Eliza, was on our show. She's episode 67. Everyone should really tune into that. And she's like, you have to have Sara. You have to have this conversation because she has so much to say. And I could hear your influence in some of the things she said. And I'm really amazed at, how quickly your company has grown. So why don't you just start by talking about what Revol does and what your mission is there?
Sure. I love my sister, Eliza. It is a great episode. She's been a huge inspiration, actually, when I started my business, because she had her salons at the time. So it was kind of like roles reversed. And so my business is Revol. We are a leak-proof underwear company, and we've been around for about 6 years now. And really, the journey started from me having started an internship, and I leaked through my pad, through my jeans onto a light gray chair. And I tell this story a lot because it really was like the spark. It was the start of this whole journey because I had started what was, my dream job. And I thought to myself, like, how am I going to get through a work day? Like I struggled a lot with my period. It's really heavy. I now have been diagnosed with fibroids, but even at the time, I think I just had a heavy flow. I've always had a heavy flow. And so I decided to sew up a pair. It didn't look pretty at the time, but I sewed up a pair of heavy flow period underwear. It's basically it. That was like the prototype. And I, tried a couple different variations and then kind of nailed it pretty early on. And then I just started wearing that instead of anything else. And my life changed. And I think being a woman and being around other women, you share your story, you tell people like, what you're doing and whatever. And I just very quickly, like, I literally just like steamrolled. Like it was so quick that I would be getting emails from strangers being like, "Hey, I hear you make this period underwear." And I hear it's for heavy flows. And so I started with, just kind of like literally meeting people on the street
On the
corner.
street?
Literally meeting people on the street. There's like one instance where I remember I met some girl. I had no idea how she found out about it. Probably should have asked, but she found out. And we met on the street corner. I gave her a sandwich bag of underwear and she just gave me cash. And I was like, okay, thanks, bye. Like, enjoy.
Talk about
Uh,
grassroots, you know?
it was very grassroots. And I really, at the time, I didn't think of myself at all as like a entrepreneur or like a business owner. It was, I had this solution and I've always been a natural helper. Like that's my tendency. And so when I realized it worked for me, it was kind of like, well, of course I'll make it for somebody else. Like I don't mind spending my weekend doing that. And so that is like kind of more so how it started. It was once I was like starting to get like a number of emails and like people contacting me. I was like, okay, maybe I should like actually make this into a thing. Um, I started it as an Etsy shop
Oh,
originally.
okay. I have so much to say about Etsy, but okay.
Yeah, same. I think I started in like the prime era of
Yes.
Etsy.
Yes.
Really like before we have all of what we have now, even Google wasn't really what it is today. Like this is I think my first Etsy shop probably opened in 2017. So this
Yeah,
is
so it
even
was
before I
yeah.
started the business.
Mhm.
And so this is where people went when they like wanted to buy something maybe a little bit obscure, didn't know where to go
Yes.
find it. They just went to Etsy to look things up. Um, and so I started, I think it was literally called like Revol heavy flow period underwear or something like that. And I actually I did pretty well. Like it was pretty consistent. I was getting like, you know, I couldn't even tell you how many orders I was getting, but I was getting enough that it was like, it made me think I could quit my full-time job.
Mm.
Which I very quickly realized I wasn't actually making enough money to quit my full-time job.
Mm.
So I started serving on the side, but that's okay.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and so right around that time, I met my now husband, who is an incredible, incredible human being. He like he has so much passion to drive this mission forward. He is such an ally to all the menstruating humans in this world. But in particular, he has a really good background in sales and marketing. And when we met, he was like, the world needs this product. Like we need to get this like properly out there more than just an Etsy page.
Mhm.
And I was doing like craft markets at the time and I was maybe paying like $250 for a table and I was making 275 after the
Yeah.
weekend. You know, like I was a maker at heart and you know, like I was really bad at selling and would just kind of sit there and wait for people to come up to me. And so when we met, he was like, "Yeah, I'd love to just like come to one of those events and like, you know, just see how you do it." And then um the very first time he came, he stood back, he listened to like my little sales pitch and he was just like, "Okay, like, I just have a couple notes, like, maybe if you try saying this and, like, leading the question like that." And then that day, I sold $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was like we were, like, 2 months into our relationship at the time, and I was like, "You're with me for life." Like, I love this. And but for me, it was still always, like, the root of it was, like, I'm getting it into more people's hands. Like, it wasn't really about how much money I was making. I mean,
Yes.
the money made it so that I could continue doing it, but it was really like, "Oh my gosh, you know, 10 more people got it today." Like, we talked to so many more, people, and we changed lives, and so we both dove just, like, headfirst into this mission of ours. And we launched like the official business in 2019. So that was May of 2019. And it still was like very organic and grassroots for the first 2, 3 years. It was a lot of farmers markets. The first year, we did 2 to 4 trade shows or farmers markets a month. And so we had a little like, literally had a van
Yeah.
that we drove around. We had, like, a bed in the back of the van,
Wow.
and we would sleep in Walmart parking lots. So we would drive to, like, Seattle, Portland, like, literally anywhere we could basically go and sell this period underwear, which at the time I was still sewing. every single pair. So we would go to these shows, we'd take a bunch of orders and then go back, and then I would sew and fulfill the orders. So we were like kind of made to order at that point. It was chaotic. We were young and we barely slept, and it was, it really was like just yeah, we look back at those times, I was like, "Man, what were we thinking?"
That
But
is a hustle.
it's at the same time, it was so brilliant. Like, it was,
Yes.
we built so much of what the business is today off off that time, because we calculated it was like something like 700 hours that we spent talking to customers in 1 year. And, like, farmers market customers are gonna tell you exactly what they think. Like, they are
Yes.
not hiding what their thoughts are, and so very quickly, like, in that first year of, like, really being a business, we iterated so much because it was, like, direct feedback. Okay, like, 3 shows in a row, nobody's wanting to look at this product, or this way of pitching isn't landing. And so that time was just us, like, molding everything that I would say we have now. And yeah, it was a really fun time. We look back at it fondly. We wouldn't wanna do it again,
Yeah,
but
it's a phase.
it's a phase,
Yeah.
it was really like the building blocks of what we have. And so now, looking at where we are today, we're in such a different world. We have 12 staff and a big warehouse. Our product is manufactured overseas and it's coming in at volumes, huge volumes. It's still so tightly maintained by us, I think, because I was always the sewer. Like, I am so intense about quality control. We fly to our manufacturer every year and we, sit down with them. We work with them really, really closely. And then now we're in about 3,000 grocery, pharmacy, and health food stores, and have a really thriving online side of the business as well. No more Etsy, it's just our website. And so it's definitely like a completely different world that we are living in now. It still has similar stresses. It still has, the same kind of ups and downs. It's just maybe a few more zeros at the end of them.
Yeah.
And the fires feel very similar. Like, it doesn't really change a whole lot. It still always feels like you're putting out fires.
Yeah, I mean, that's owning a business, right? I mean, like, and you're like, the fact that you were so grassroots at the beginning and so hands-on, that's the best kind of, like, market research, experimentation, like, those farmers markets, getting the feedback. I've had quite a few guests talk about how they started off in farmers markets, or they
Mhm.
still do them because they're so valuable,
Yeah.
because they're really reaching their target market. And what I love about this story is that you really did start small. And you were able to scale up, but for someone who has a business idea and they are thinking, "Well, if I start small, it's not gonna go anywhere," what would you say to them?
I would say, as long as, like, the mission and the reason why you're doing it has, like, a bigger picture, then it can go somewhere. Like, it really is, like, it's really tough. I heard this quote, it's not my quote, but there's, like, 2 types of entrepreneurs. There's entrepreneurs that have an idea and then pay to get that idea produced, or, make it happen. Then there's the entrepreneur that has an idea and has the particular skill to make it happen. So whether, and that's why you see a lot at farmers markets, people making
Mhm.
their soaps or their different foods, or like me, it was garments. I had a very particular skill of being able to sew to a quality that looked like it was manufactured. The quality was really good. That is the skill that I would say allowed us to scale from the small to, bigger. And I had some background knowledge of how to teach people to sew the product. We truly came from nothing. Like, we had student debt when we
Mhm.
started. We were negative in the cash flow. But I think when you are, like, super passionate about it and you can back it up with the skill, then you can start really small and you can learn and you can iterate and you can grow your business, because ideally you're taking a dollar, you're making $5 with it, and you're turning that profit to continue to grow.
Mhm.
But it's the passion. It's the passion that I think actually like allows you to go from small to big, because it is so hard. Like it just any business is hard, but to do it in a grassroots way and to do it in like an organic, like building blocks type scale, you have to be able to dig in and like keep going and show up when it's really hard,
Yes.
because there's just going to be times when you don't have outside funding or you don't have that like cushion to lean back on, and you have to hustle. You have to
You
sleep
have
in Walmart parking lots
um,
or whatever
um,
it is,
I love that you share that, because every business is hard work. And I am a huge fan of hard work. So the
Totally.
whole kind of premise for this podcast is like differentiating hard work versus struggle, where
Yeah,
hard work is very rewarding and it leaves you feeling very satisfied. And there's like something that you just love at the end of it. Whereas struggle, you're just kind of spinning your wheels and you just want to put your head into a wall, right? Or you feel like you're putting your head into
1,000%.
a wall. But no business can be built without hard work.
No, exactly. Exactly. It is. I think that is, it's such an important thing
Yeah.
to identify. And that's why I always go back to passion. Like my passion for this business it's so deep, and I think it's the thing that kind of keeps me going no matter what. Um, and I think when you have that, and that's why I always like when people ask me for advice, like, should I go do this? It's like, does it keep you awake at night not doing it? Like, that's the thing. Because that'll be the thing that then gets you up in the morning when it sucks and you're not having a good time, but it's so worth it in the end.
Yeah, and that was one thing. Another thing that was very clear is that when I'm reading kind of through your website and I'm looking at the brand, the mission is really pushing the brand. And actually, that's, great branding, because
Mhm.
it's very clear what you want to do. And it's not about, as you said earlier, selling more product. It's about getting it into the hands of people to improve their lives. Like that's clear. And when you come at it from that perspective, it's like, why would you deny people your product if it's going to improve them and
Exactly.
their life? And this is for a service too. So anyone listening who has a business, whatever you're doing, you're a freelancer, graphic designer, business owner, why would you deny people your product or service if it could improve their life?
1,000%. It's like a duty. Like, you have to.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
responsibility. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think that can be really helpful for getting out of the head in
Yeah.
terms of like, well, that's getting out of the head and into the heart and like doing something from
It
a place of
is.
service and
Mhm.
contribution, which that helps me show up to the podcast. It's like, why would I not share some wisdom? And like, why would I not have someone's like your story here? Because
Mhm.
it's helping so many people.
Yeah. I remember there was a time where I was pregnant with my first, child, and we had, like, we had made some misjudgments, and we'd kind of put the business in a place where we were really needing to go offshore with our
Mhm.
manufacturing, but we just didn't have the money to get there. And we really got to the point where it was like, we need to decide, is it time to shut down? Like, we really tried. Like, this was 3 years into the business. Like, we really gave it a good effort. I was pregnant. We were like, we're starting a family. Like, what are we doing? We're both full time in the business. And I remember literally sobbing, just being like, I think we're ending this thing. Like, I think we're going to have to shut down. And the thing that just sat with me was just like, I was devastated that there would be people out there that have a heavy flow and like wouldn't have this product. And that was the thing that like fully like turned it around for me of like, okay, no matter what, we have to find a solution. We did find a solution. But it was like, it was the feeling of like just utter devastation for even like, I was like, I know myself, I can keep sewing. the product for myself and like maybe my friends, but I was like, there are so many people out there that won't have this product. And that really just like drove me to like, okay, like kick it into high gear. We are finding a solution.
And how hard was it to find, because I know a little bit about that process of finding
Yeah.
an offshore manufacturer. You have to like get so many quantity created, right? So it's a huge financial investment and it
Yeah.
can be really overwhelming. I feel like that stops actually a lot of people. They're like, okay, I know I have to get it overseas, but oh my gosh, that's going to be so much money. Actually, my husband and I had a product in development years ago and we froze at that point. So we want, because it was like, I just can't do this. Like I fully admit that I could not handle the financial pressure.
Yeah. It's intense, especially when you're growing organically.
Yeah.
Because what you need is you need so much capital ahead of being able to receive your product before then you sell it. And so usually you need some kind of backing or funding. And so at the time, what we had done were garments. So we had bought like all the fabric and then we'd put all our money in the fabric and we had we were working on a couple like loan offers and stuff like that. And we thought one would come through, but then it fell through. And so we had put all our money into the fabric, but didn't have any product to show for it. And so that was actually why we came to this point of like, oh my God, like we actually messed up. We bet on being able to get this loan to pay for the sewing, and then we couldn't. And so we had a ton of fabric overseas and we were pretty, yeah, it was not a great situation. It was pretty tough. We did thankfully in the end get a loan and we were able to like start that manufacturing. It ended up taking a while. It took about almost like 5 months to like kind of get everything going. It was a huge process with overseas. And then we finally received our inventory like 4 days after I gave birth. Oh, that was another journey.
With your first one?
With my first one, yeah.
Oh.
And now I'm currently like 6.5 months pregnant with our second. Yeah.
Wow. Can I backtrack for a second? I want to know what that, because I just have to know. What was the internship or the job, your dream job you were doing before you headed into this whole entrepreneurial world?
So I had gotten a design internship at Lululemon.
Oh my gosh,
so
the
I
listeners
was
are going to be like Lululemon is like, the pinnacle of a lot
Yeah.
of the fashion world.
Yeah. So I had been studying technical apparel. So that's my background is like I have a degree in technical apparel design. And so it was landing like I got the dream job. It's the very first, like an entry level. But for me, that was like, okay, this is the ladder I'm going to climb. It really was. It was just like, a moment I was sitting at my desk and working and I bled through and nobody else did anything. I was in my early 20s and I was mortified by this experience. And that really drove me to go and design it. So yeah, it was at that point that I started it all.
Truly creating from that pain point, right? So it's like, and then deciding to simplify it, you're building a better mousetrap because there were a few products. I mean, I know this is a few years ago, but I saw a few products on the market that were period underwear, but different from what you're doing. And you definitely seem to have a perspective where like, I can make this better in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the whole point of it is you're supposed to be able to use the underwear, like our underwear, as a standalone product. What I was really struggling with at the time was I was wearing pads and tampons, or I tried menstrual cups with period underwear, but nothing was like I could just put it on and be able to go to work without stressing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that like now I've done so much like research and I spend a lot of my time talking about this is we spend as people that menstruate, we spend so much time stressed about leaks, in pain. There's so much extra mental load we carry around our period. And it's something that like I want to diminish as much as I can. I can't take away the pain, but I can take away the stress of like if you're doing a presentation in front of your bosses, you're not worried that you're leaking or your pad is leaking. For me, I've been up on huge stages, having, doing a talk or whatever. And I'm on my period. And the last thing I'm thinking about is my period. The only thing I'm thinking about is my performance. Am I landing my like notes, whatever. And so that's like what I want to give people is I want them to have the freedom to just be able to live their lives because I think there's already so much we have to deal with.
So
And
much. And it
so
and it does take up so much time and energy. And it's like when you're explaining that and you become really conscious of like how it affects your life, the fact that you're working to give people freedom, peace of mind, and the ability to stay present. When you're talking about doing the presentation, it's like you can stay present in the moment and do the tasks that you want to do and you
yeah,
want to excel at without having to stress. And I
yeah.
mean, that is just like, as you're talking, I was like, I can feel the sense of relief that that
Mhm.
creates.
Yeah, exactly. That's all
What's
I
some of the
want.
most common feedback that you've received from customers?
Yeah, so what we get a ton of is I didn't realize how much of a burden my period was. I think that's also like a little bit of like how a lot of us operate is well, we've had it since we were 14, 15. It's kind of been a part of our lives for a really long time. And yeah, it's annoying. Yeah, it's, interferes with our travel plans and all these things, but it's just kind of there. But what we get so much of is like, holy, I did not realize how much easier my life is with it, like wearing this underwear. And I think that is just like, I get so much joy. I get
Mhm.
so much joy. And then we get the emails from people that have really heavy flows, like me, who, or even worse than me, who will email saying, I wasn't leaving the house for more than 45 minutes at a time because I just couldn't. And that to me is like to be giving people the sense of freedom or security to be able to do little things. There's this one customer I'll never forget. She had left her curling team and stopped going to like friends' events and stuff like that because it was just like her period was so overwhelming. And then she emailed saying she joined her curling
Mm,
team again, and
that's
she's back at the
huge.
Friday night,
Yeah,
like, book
huge.
club. And I think though it's like the little things that it's like you can't even really put a value to that because to me, it's like quality of life. Like,
Mhm.
that is what we're giving people. And, sometimes we're just like, "Just believe it, just take it, just try it, like, you will love it," because they just need to see it for themselves.
Yeah, it's those little things, like, I talk about this quite a bit as well, like, when you have to give up little things in your life, it's amazing how quickly you can go downhill, how your mental health can be affected, and you just don't feel happy, and it really is the curling team, or it's the drinks with your friend
Yeah.
on once a week, or the one
Yeah,
yoga class a week that you love. Whatever it is,
exactly.
those are the things that we just, like, really need to hang on to and preserve
Yeah,
and make time for and prioritize, so that's it that's amazing that you're
yeah,
able to help women with that.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
hope.
Okay, I wanna ask you about working with your husband
Yeah.
because I find this always fascinating when husband and wives work together. My husband and I would probably push each other off a cliff within a week.
Yeah.
We did kinda work together for a while, but I like to do things as inefficiently as possible, and he likes to do
Mhm.
things as efficiently as possible, as
Yeah,
one should.
yeah.
So tell me what that dynamic is like.
I love it. There is, like, not an ounce of me that would have it any other way. I do think that there are some things that have, like, built our relationship to be that like, to work so well together. Um, Part of it is that we met and started working together almost simultaneously, so because I had started the business and he's just like a very curious person, very much like an entrepreneur spirit. So when he saw that I was like working on it, he was just like, oh, let me help. Like, let me, you know, like get involved, but not in an intrusive way. It was just kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm so curious. And his mom had fibroids when he was growing up. And so he had literally seen like a woman in his life experience like struggle after struggle after struggle with her period. And so there was like this added passion for him. We definitely have different ways of working. We have different strengths. we've really tried over the years to like build our business to those strengths. But at the end of the day, like we're both so collaborative with each other. We always want to run things past each other before we make any big moves. And so we very much have like co-led the business throughout the whole journey. Um, and I think it's the best thing in the world. Like I get to work with my best friend. He's
Mhm.
also truly my best friend, like
Yeah. Yeah.
the person I want to spend the most amount of time with. And we've always had a very clear vision of how we want to build this together, how we want to build our family simultaneously, and neither of us are taking any time off. It is, I mean, I will say when I had my first, definitely he had to take on a lot more.
Yeah.
Obviously I took on a lot of other things. So we kind of like just balance each other out. But I think when you are working with your partner, communication is like the most important thing in the world. Um, we prioritize our communication. So if we feel like we're not on the same page, we talk about it right there, right now. Like we don't really let things like fester.
Mhm.
We're pretty good at just tackling it in the moment. Um, we're also not fighters, like neither of us fight. So it's more a conversation. It's an expression of like, hey, I think, X, Y, Z. Um, and then just like being very candid with each other. I think that's like vulnerability is like a huge part of that, where I think when you feel extremely safe with a person, you then also feel like, okay, I can tell you maybe when you need to kind of like pick things up or you need to change some things. And it's not coming from like any place other than just we both want to build this
Mhm.
thing up. Yeah, and so I love every moment of it. And like we've thought about, okay, like our next business, like I think we'll still both work in it together. Like I can't really see us like separating and doing our own thing. Maybe we will, but we just like genuinely enjoy working with each other so much.
Yeah, that is, like, when you enjoy someone's company and you have that, like it sounds like there's an energetic balance, like, you're just kind of both
Mhm.
taking different pieces. You said he was, more
Yeah.
into the sales marketing, and you're maybe the more ideation and
Yeah.
obviously the female voice to the
Yeah.
customer, but the fact that he has this experience that, with his mom, like, it sounds like it all kind of maybe like a perfect storm of things coming together
Yeah.
to make it
I
work.
think we're really lucky we balance each other out a lot. I think in many ways I didn't envision it from the beginning, but yeah, he takes on a lot of the sales and marketing. He's like incredible visionary when it comes to marketing. And I've taken on a lot more of like the finance, like traditional CEO role, like face of the company. We just did an equity raise earlier this year. I did that whole thing kind of on my own with a lot of like basically him behind the scenes helping me. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's been an interesting journey to also like figure out our roles as we grow. But at the end of the day, we're both just equally motivated to get it there.
Yes. And how do you see yourself now as an entrepreneur? Like, when you see yourself as an entrepreneur, is this like a surprise to you? Like, are you the type of entrepreneur that you would have expected? Like, if you were just stepping back and
Mhm.
be like, here's Sarah, the entrepreneur, what do you see?
I I think it's definitely more surprising to me, I think, what I'm capable of. Um, I'm not while I really love, like, big picture thinking, I am, visionary like that. I never really thought of myself as, like, I'm gonna be this, like, entrepreneur, I'm gonna be this business owner or really anything. I'm more kind of like, go with it and grow with it. Like, who I am today is so astronomically different than who I was when I started. Um, and part of my, like, philosophy is to grow with it. I am not a $50 million CEO right now, but I'm growing to get there. Like, that is my goal, is to still maintain and run the business as we grow. And I've kind of always had that mentality of like, there isn't anything I can't learn to like, or figure out or hustle my way through. And so it is surprising, I think, in a way, how far I've come, but then also in a sense, I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, it makes sense that I would get there.
Was there a part of the business that you really struggled to learn or adapt to that you found difficult?
Definitely. Like I said, I have a technical apparel background and my background is actually pattern making. So I'm very like logical with or practical in my skills. And very mathematical. Like it leans heavily into measurements and fit and all that. But the financial side of business was super overwhelming to me. It was not something that I felt like I was strong enough to do. So then I was like, well, somebody else should do it. I can do other things. But about a year and a half ago, when I could see that we were gonna want to raise and need to raise equity capital, I really thought to myself, like, if I want to be the face of this company and I want to be the one to raise the funds and get the investors in the door, I know I need to actually know the numbers of this business. And it was a wake up call. I had, this will be a short tangent story, but I had an investor call with, it was kind of, I stumbled into it. I didn't know I was going into an investor call. An investor ended up being there. And then he asked me some wild questions that I had never heard of. And I had no idea what he was talking about. I do think he was kind of trying to like show me that I didn't know the numbers of my business. And he literally said, I think you have a lot of potential, but you don't know the numbers of your business. And I was mortified. And what I do when I'm mortified is I figure out a solution and I never let it happen again. So while, that was an intense experience, I value that experience so much because I do like it when someone kind of points out, I guess, like my, I don't want to say where I laugh, but
A
points
blind
out
spot,
a
maybe.
blind spot. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. A
Yeah.
blind spot.
Yeah.
And so at that point, and I was very lucky to be in a position of the business where I was able to look at hiring a fractional CFO. And so I interviewed 7 fractional CFOs. And I was really looking for somebody that wouldn't just help me figure out the number side of the business, but actually teach me along the way all the numbers of the business. I was really, really lucky to find and meet who is now our fractional CFO. Uh, and she literally, like, step by step, helped me learn all of the numbers of the business, really understand, like, everything from a balance sheet to, our margins, everything down to like pretty nitty gritty stuff. And I feel like when I went into that, I didn't think I had the ability to do it. And I still like stumble. I'm not a business person. I'm not a finance person. But I understand my business extremely well. And I think that was a huge component of why I was able to raise really successfully was I could answer any question. And if I had had a call with that investor again, I would have answered all of his questions.
Yes, and you would
You
have had
know?
that badass moment, but you had
Yeah.
to have that, like, that stumble.
It's a
It's like, it's
wake up
always the
call.
way. Yeah, it's like we all have to have those stumbles where we're unprepared or we don't know the answer so that we can get to the answer and then, like, push through. Because I love that this is kind of talking about finances and money in a way, because so many people, especially, I know you had a technical design background, but a lot of creatives, like, this is a common theme. They're just like terrified and they don't think they can do it. It's like, you can
You
absolutely
can.
do this. Like, if you can do basic math and
Yeah.
understand some numbers, you can do it.
Yeah. And you don't have to do it on your own. Like you
Yeah.
have somebody really helping you. And it doesn't have to be a CFO, it could be a bookkeeper, it could be just somebody that understands it better. But the important part is that you don't stop asking questions until you understand
Yeah.
what it is that they're talking about. Because the 6 other CFOs that I interviewed, they all said, yeah, I'll deliver the report to you. Like I'll do all the back end work, I'll figure it all out,
Mhm.
and I'll just basically provide you with the information. So I would, in theory, know what my margins were and all that stuff. But I was like, I wanted someone who, while they worked on it, walked me through it.
Right, like a mentor,
Yeah,
sounds
truly
like.
a mentor. Yeah.
And, how did you find, how did you find someone that had that in them and was willing to do that? Like, I guess you interviewed a few people, but, like, not everyone's gonna do that.
No, I do think, I don't want to say luck, because I do think you draw in the energy
Mhm.
that you are looking for. But community is how that came about. I'm extremely community driven. I think anywhere you are, wherever you're listening from, there is going to be a community of female founders. And tapping into that is that is going to be your biggest source of strength. I think we are such giving people most of the time. Like as women, we love to help each other out and we love to listen and I think create resources. So whether you're actually getting resources from like an organization or just literally community, this is just another female founder that said, hey, she wasn't using her as, she just knew her personally, connected me with her. And so it was just very, like a lot of my amazing connections have come from just community, keeping up with people that are, whether it's founders or there's lots of like female startup organizations. And I think just like being a contributor in those communities, yeah, just soaking it all up.
I know there are people out there who really wanna connect and help. That's like
Yeah.
that's something I have to constantly remind myself that there's people out there that can help me, that will, like, support me.
Yeah.
Everyone can tap into something, and especially if it's a skill you don't know or it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Everything can be
1,000%.
sort of learned. Yeah.
It can be learned, and I think everybody has the capacity. It might take another person a little bit longer, someone else would have gotten it a lot faster than me.
Mhm.
But I think having the patience and the determination, like, I am going to get this, and I'm gonna spend my time learning it.
What's your favorite part about being an entrepreneur?
Really good question. I think that there's all the standard stuff, of course, there's some flexibility. I actually don't think you get a lot of flexibility as a founder, but I think being able to see something that you thought of or you had the idea of come to life and like actually build a business around it, especially now that I have what I would consider like a pretty thriving business, 12 staff. We have an establishment like our warehouse, our office. When I get to step into the office and there's no one here and it's super quiet, like it's such a surreal feeling every single time. It never goes away from me. And I feel like that is the best part of being an entrepreneur. You get to literally see this thing that you built. And yeah, there's just so much pride in that.
Mhm. We are meant to create. So you don't have
Mhm.
to build a multi-million-dollar company, but we are
No.
meant to create and to see that creation
Yeah,
come to life.
exactly.
Because I think otherwise, if we get sad as humans.
Yeah, I think it's really fun to
Yeah.
see. And somebody actually just asked me last week if I get like a sense of ownership or a feeling when I see the underwear on
Mhm.
people. And I actually don't. Like
Yeah.
that's the one part is when I see the underwear on we were doing a photo shoot. That's why they were looking at a model wearing the underwear. They're like, "Oh, do you get kind of like a sense of pride? Like, wow, that's my underwear on there."
Yeah.
And weirdly, like that part doesn't, but it's the other part. It's like the behind the scenes. It's like the filled shelves of boxes of underwear. It's my staff hanging out by the coffee machine. It's like those things that get me, like the tingly moments that I feel the most kind of like, wow, I can't believe I built this.
Yes. Okay. So I love that you just said that, because what I would hear is, like, if I was thinking from a coach perspective, that ownership wouldn't be one of your top core values. Now,
Mhm.
that is not one of mine.
Mhm.
I have a friend, and ownership's like so important for her that she has that feeling, but connection would be higher for me. So it's more about, when you're talking about the company building, it's like that to me seems like the connection,
Yeah.
or there's other things interweaving that are a priority. Not to say that you don't love that this is your company and your product.
Mhm.
Um, but that's funny, because a lot of people think entrepreneurs want, like, that I have to own this, and they want their stamp on things. And I don't think that's a drive for every entrepreneur. Some it is for
Yeah.
sure.
No, definitely. Like I would say it's so much bigger than me.
Yeah.
And I've known that, I think, for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I think that's also like a really big thing to know as you grow your business and scale your business. Do you want investors? Because that means you don't own it 100% anymore. And
Yes.
it is bigger than you. And that's definitely like a shift for, entrepreneurs. And I'm 100% that type of entrepreneur. Like, this is much bigger than me. And I just love being able to be part of building it.
Yeah. Collaboration too. I know for me, I've always loved working on kind of, even though I'm such a hyper independent person, I do love that feeling of being on a team that does something together. And if there's a win, I'd rather have the win as a team than as an individual. That's just me.
Awesome.
Like I always say, if I won the lottery, I would actually want to win the lottery as like a group as opposed to
Mhm.
a single person, because I just feel that's way more fun. Like
Yeah.
just that's just me. And
Yeah.
I've had to really recognize that, because it does change how I operate, um and how I do business and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, 1,000%. I think it's seeing, like, what we always call it, like, our staff are so bought in. Like, when I see that in my staff, like, I think that is just, like, the coolest thing ever, and to reflect on that and be able to win together, I think is like, that's what we're all here for,
Yeah, and
and it's so much more than just you as an entrepreneur.
and caring about the mission. And so many people are, when I talk to people who, can't stand their job and they're feeling completely depleted and burnt out, they a lot of them do not care about what the company does, what the product they're
Mm-mm.
putting out.
Yeah.
They don't care what they're doing. And if you don't have any connection and real true value in that, you're going to feel, again, sad. You're just going
Yeah.
to feel disconnected. And
Great.
that's why we need to align with the businesses, the models, the missions that are fulfilling to us personally. And it's different for everybody else, and recognizing that.
Completely
This is
agree.
not everyone's mission to make this kind of underwear, but it's
It
your
isn't.
mission. Like, you started selling
Yeah.
knickers in Ziplocs on the street.
Exactly. And I think when you can find people, I always say we have a really incredible mission, so it's easy to get people to rally behind that mission. It really is. Like, we've had some incredible staff come our way. Um, but it is when you have the buy-in, because they know we are, like, moving this needle forward, that changes the way the whole business moves forward. And so we're really like, we put a lot of focus on making sure that we're aligned with anybody that joins our team, because also we're founder led, you know, it's going to be chaotic at times. We're building it as we grow. And like, sometimes we don't have the roadmap ahead of us. And so you do have to kind of like know or we try to let people know what
Yeah,
they're
it's like a
getting
startup
into.
still in
Yeah, it's
ways.
still a
Yeah.
startup, yeah, in many, many ways. But yeah, and I think that's just like incredible things can happen when you have the right team behind you.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So I
Mhm.
want to ask a question I ask all my guests, and that is, in the spirit of helping people ditch the struggle, what do you feel is most important to commit to?
I think it is the most important thing to commit to is to develop yourself as you grow your business. I have had many different coaches mentors, like I was talking about the financial mentor. I've spoken on stages, and I was not a like public speaker by nature. I was a person that sat behind a computer and made patterns. Like that was my life before this. And when I realized, I was starting to do pitches and these things, I was like, "Huh, I need a coach. I need somebody to help me." And, but like diving into it, always ready to just like learn and grow. I think that's been a huge component to why we've been able to scale to where we are and why we plan on scaling even further is that like I'm never going to stop evolving as an entrepreneur. And so it's just the commitment to growth.
So hiring a coach, anything else that did you do that was like really a catalyst for growth for you?
Um, I've had literally I've had multiple coaches. I have like a wellness coach who really helps me on my like personal to like motherhood side, business. Um, One of the coaches was actually like a performance coach, so it actually helps CEOs now, but background is theater.
Oh, yeah. That's
Like it's
amazing. Yeah.
really, really helpful. Um, and diving in, like one of our biggest, like one of the catalysts to our growth was that we decided to go into grocery, and like grocery, pharmacy, and health food stores. I had and really had zero background in selling into grocery stores. And that's not really like you don't go into the store and just like, hey, I want to sell my product. Some of those you can, but like it's a much more like back end system. You have to have so many more things. And it was very much, we decided to do it before we even really knew what we were getting ourselves into. And I think part of growth is just going for it and figuring it out along the way. It sometimes means that can be messy, but I think you can clean it up along the way rather than trying to perfect it and then trying to make that fit into your growth plan. I think that can be really hard sometimes. And being messy is okay.
Yeah.
Just go for it.
Yeah, the messy middle. I love that. Like it's things should feel messy. And if we just accept that, it's like just a lot easier.
It is. Yeah, it should. And so, yeah, it's just go for it. Like, I think I need to remind myself of that sometimes, even as we like continue to grow, because now it feels like the stakes are even bigger, but we can still clean up the mess as we go along. So just go for it.
Just go for it. Okay, so let's tell the listeners where to find your product and where to find you on social media if that is something that you're into.
Yep, absolutely. So you can find us at Revol Cares. So that's REV as in Victor OL. It's not Rebel, which a lot of people think it is, but Revol Cares on just all social media platforms. You can find us online at revolcares.com. And then also in a lot of grocery and health food stores across both Canada and the US. So if you're in Canada, look for us at London Drugs, PharmaSave, Sobeys. If you're in the States, Fred Meyer, Kroger, Wegmans, those kind of places. And just, and it's continuously growing.
Yeah, I saw you're on well.ca, which
well.
I order from all the time. Yeah. So I think that's amazing. And
there's a ton of places.
That's great. We can find Sara's underwear everywhere.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the goal is really truly whenever you need it, you will be able to find it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for supporting so many people with their journey and just how they show up in life and for willing to be messy and go along this path.
Yeah, messy, but at least not leaking.
Yes, that's true. Thank you so much, Sara.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today on Ditch the Struggle. You showing up here means so much to me. To dig deeper into the topics discussed today and to learn about my work, visit alanarosa.com. And don't forget to download your free resources while you're there. And if this episode resonated with you, please share with others who also want to ditch the struggle. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast, leave a rating and a review, and let me know what you'd like to see more of on this podcast. And before I go, I want to leave you with my 3 favorite ways to ditch the struggle. Be your own best advocate, take baby steps for the win, and forget about a linear career path. It's overrated and you are doing just fine. See you next time.